So welcome to people listening out there. This is the Hearth. I often say when I'm welcoming people to anything I do, so welcome to people listening now and in the future. This is our conversation at the Hearth. And tonight we're going to talk about the welcome. And this is the first principle that's part of the principles that were established by Ray Castellino, but it's the latest one. And we have ways that we welcome people when we do our womb surrounds, but also there's ways that we welcome people when they are working with conception, preconception, conception. And there are just ways that the welcome is important. So I'll just open it up to um, my companions here. Eileen Sendrey and Alison Greene-Barton are here tonight to talk about this topic for our hearth.
I could go next. Um, for me, whenever I see a new baby or somebody has a new puppy or a new dog, I love dogs. Um, it just tumbles out of my mouth so easily. Welcome, little one, or welcome. And as I say the words welcome, I can really feel myself making space um, for this new addition to the community. And, I think about before I did this work, before I was involved in pre and perinatal somatics, I don't know if I had that space in me. Like, I don't know if I could have said the word welcome exactly in the way that I can, where I just really feel myself opening up space for this new little one, whether it's a new baby or a new puppy, or even welcoming a friend or welcoming a client. I really feel that space. And so when I speak about the principle of welcome, it's like in my heart, in my awareness of my community, I'm creating a space for the person to come in and to really support that little one or that puppy or that person to come into that welcome. And even as I speak of it now, I can feel the opening of the space in my heart with welcome. Yeah, I'll stop there for now.
Thank you, Eileen. I like what you said about opening the space. When I work with couples who want to create a family, bring a little one into their lives, I have them first take time in meditation or in a quiet moment to sense into and feel the being that wants to come to them and to really welcome that being, to have that being feel the invitation, and then for also them to feel the reciprocal and to sense. Ray used to, in womb surrounds and in his trainings, have people in the conception module, have people feel into who you are before you embody, and then talk to each other and describe a special quality that you can sense or a gift you feel that that being is bringing to the world. So I have parents do that to sense into who the essence is, the blueprint is of this special being coming into their lives, to be able to connect with that first before they're staying up all night feeding and changing diapers and learning how to parent, like to really have a sense and quality of welcoming that sentient being into their lives. And then I have them continue to take time every day to sense into that being. And then before they conceive the baby, to really treat it as a sacred act of creation and to invite that being into that act of creation, knowing that they're coming together to be parents and to have this child in their lives and to really welcome the everlasting changing effect this being will bring to their lives and to their family and community. And then the same when the baby is in the womb and developing and growing, to keep welcoming that child, to have everyone in the family also talk to the child and welcome the child. And the welcome goes on, at birth, immediately welcoming and, having the child feel the enthusiasm and the love of now being on the outside, coming from the inside and being on the outside, and kind of congratulating the mom and the baby for that act of birth. But I find it's such a satisfying feeling to be with these parents in the welcoming experience. Oh. And it has that sense of creating the space. You're continually opening and creating this space to sense this being, to feel the gifts, to take time for this being to enter into their own bodies and into your lives through this welcoming process.
Well, thanks for sharing that, both of you. And Allison, when I listen to you, what I hear, in that intentional space, that welcoming, I see it repeated. Like I have just spent a lot of time with the Indigenous midwifery community in our country, and the intentional way that they welcome. They welcome with gifts and ceremony and prayers, and creating that container. That's a pattern that repeats. And I just, yeah, I love what you've shared. And it also reminds me of what things I've learned both from Mary Jackson and John Chitty, where you welcome somebody, like, imagine that you've just crawled through this amazingly hard cave and got out of the entrance and into the light, and how would you welcome somebody, and um, having sat with John when he works with babies, he just holds them and he's very quietly just says, "Welcome to planet Earth. You made it." And repeating his mantra on the inside, "I see you. I know who you are. You're a unit of consciousness who's come from afar to this place, and I come from there too. So I really want to welcome you here. And I know who you are, and I know where you come from, and I know why you're here." And that kind of knowing and that welcome gives that satisfaction to the person who's there, who they feel seen, and imagining that somebody can help you feel that kind of goodness. Like, wow, I'm seen here and I feel welcome. And having lived in Africa, off and on for years, the welcome is really important. And you're considered rude if you don't welcome somebody. And so, like, and I lived in Senegal, it was especially important because there was like a national pride of Teranga, which is hospitality and welcome. Um, but I feel like some of the welcome of babies in our community has been somewhat forgotten. And when I worked at APA, there was this recording from David Chamberlain, who he would say, "Who do we think we are, the way we welcome babies? If we treat them brutalize them," was the words that he used. What do we think we're going to reap later on? And this weekend, when I was with the Indigenous midwives, one of them said, "The welcoming of babies is to plant seeds of peace." And I want to really plant that out in this community, outside of even our community, of of working with babies and families. Like welcome is a way to plant the seed of peace, which we really need right now on planet Earth.
I really appreciate what you're saying, Kate, about how we welcome babies in the birth process, in the birth support. And I've often spoken to my clients, or when I speak about the work that I do, I speak about how to welcome a baby like they're an honored guest. So when we have an honored guest, like even very exalted guests, people do a lot of research about how to welcome this person and this person's traditions and their preferences. And what I know is that being welcomed, it's a developmental need, it's a human need. And so many of my clients, both in the group work and the individual work, didn't get welcomed. And so there's like a deep human need that is not tended to. And there's often this felt sense of um, traveling this path traveling a dark tunnel, um, going through this big transition and having nobody there to greet me or greet them as an honored guest. And so, even the fact that I now know how to hold welcome is something I had to learn. It's like it was one of those updates. It was one of those like neural pathways that I had to create in myself because I didn't have an internal reference for that. I had the external words, welcome, but I didn't have the internal reference until later after I had done quite a bit of work to really understand welcome in an embodied way and how much we need that, both in conception, in birth, and also just, in day-to-day interactions of welcoming each other.
Yeah, thank you, Eileen. Yeah, I'm sitting with just the profound unconsciousness we live in around not welcoming this beautiful, sweet, smallest part of ourselves on a daily basis, but the babies that come into our lives and into this world. I mean, so many things make us feel not welcome, like toxic wombs, for example, and the baby working so hard to try and survive or to have a sense. Even if the parent is welcoming of the baby, it can't get through all the toxicity of alcohol, drugs, smoke, whatever is in the environment, and even emotional toxicity. And if one of the parents is being physically abused, like the baby doesn't know the difference. And it feels like a very unwelcoming environment. And as you're speaking, I'm just sensing how important it is to have the spaciousness and cleanliness of body, heart, mind, and no toxicity. I mean, there's always toxicity, but as little as possible, so that the baby can even sense, feel, and know that you want her, him, or they,
Okay.
and that there's so many things that interfere with that sense of feeling welcome that the baby doesn't understand, and has that in such a delicate developmental phase, the baby needs to know you're there protecting it and welcoming it. So.
Now, that's a profound, truths that you've just spoken, Allison. Thank you. And you too, Eileen, those two together. So I'm wondering if the two of you could do the welcome as we do it in womb surround, because when I do the womb surround, then I say the first principle is the latest principle is the principle of welcome. And I will say that, all of you is welcome here. It's your conception right to feel welcome in this space. And I'm wondering if you all have your ways of doing the welcome message when you're welcoming people into a womb surround. Would you model that for me?
Well, for me, I don't have a particular welcome message, but I would say the essence of what I want to communicate is you are welcome as you are. And that is however you're feeling as you're checking in and introducing yourself. You are welcome as you are. You are welcome as who you are. Um, However it is that you're feeling each day, that there's no expectation, there's no idea how you need to show up. There's no um, way that you need to be perfect or right or some kind of expectation that I have. And so I think for myself, when I cultivate an inner welcome for each participant in a womb surround, just as I do my clients, is really like as I open up that space of welcome to really like, I welcome you as you are. I welcome you for who you are. And you don't have to be the same as me. Um, I'm as much as possible, I'm trying to offer a non-judgmental atmosphere where each person can arrive as they are. And so when you ask that question, that's what came alive for me. Like I don't have a particular ritual, but it's the non-judgmental atmosphere of welcome as you are and welcome who you are.
Thanks, Eileen.
I mean, I do something similar to that. Um, I describe it as I think it was our last podcast, as the sentient being, that you have always been and always will be a sentient being. And you don't have to do anything or even say anything. That's your choice. I welcome who you are as you are in a similar way that you did, Eileen. And I talk about the importance of being welcomed and how that part gets skipped a lot. But that when you really welcome these parts of ourselves and that are now starting to speak as we sensitize to them, like the little voices that tend to bubble up as soon as you come into a womb surround workshop. I talk about how these parts bubble up as someone else is having a session, and to really welcome whatever voice is speaking. To it's exciting when this information comes up, when the little one starts to speak and speaks somatically and in symptoms and in little gestures that you may have never noticed before. I also describe how slowing the tempo down, how working at a slower pace in a workshop is a very welcoming, spacious feeling. How different that is from the world, to be able to just take everything and slow it down, And I talk about that intentionally because, they may be noticing that I'm talking slower or acting slower. So I want to give also space for that and have that welcomed. That welcoming is a moment-to-moment process. It's ongoing.
Mm. Well, thank you both, and just letting that settle into me in a slower way, and um, I'm feeling really content. And do either of you have anything more you want to add right now for this conversation on welcoming?
I just feel very open-hearted as we have been. When you just talked about how content you feel, I could really feel that too. I could feel the open-heartedness as you said that, Kate.
And I was feeling the pleasure in welcoming all the parts of me, even the ones that are new or feel challenged, how important that is. So it was a sense of softening
Mhm.
and also a sense of pleasure in that.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you.